Hi, and welcome back to Learning English by Practicing Your English Comprehension. My name is Jacob. I am a native English speaker, and I make these videos to help people like you who are learning English. English comprehension is listening to the language, absorbing it so that it slowly starts to become a part of your brain, and so that it feels more natural to acquire the language and to speak it, to understand it. And a big part of that is listening to the language. That's how kids learn. That's how you learn and acquire a new language, essentially. So I have these wonderful subtitles here so you can follow along and learn new words and expressions. Watch this video completely by itself first. Then after, watch it again and take notes of some new words that you didn't know before you clicked on this video. Today, I want to talk about the United States and immigrants, specifically immigrants who live in the United States, who have moved here from other countries, and how they view the United States, what they think of it. Do they like it? Do they not like it? And of course, I am American. I was born and raised here in the United States, so I'm not speaking from my perspective, but I'm speaking from how my interactions with immigrants. And when I ask them about how they feel about the United States, that's kind of what I'm talking about. So it's not from my perspective, it's not directly from those immigrants, but it's my perspective of what I've heard other people say, if that makes sense. It's kind of weird, but stay with me here. So, the first thing is talking about my best friend. My best friend, he's from Ecuador, from Quito, Ecuador. And he came to the United States through getting a green card. He did one of those interviews, like a green card interview, I believe. And he did the interview and he got accepted and he moved here a couple of years ago. And I think for him, just through my discussions with him, he very much is a person who I think believes in the American dream, which I will say, just to play devil's advocate, I think the American dream is definitely a little bit of propaganda that the United States has successfully distributed throughout the world, both inside the United States and outside the country. And the American dream is basically the concept that anybody here in the United States, in America, which people in the United States call the country America, which I know is not technically correct, but that's just something you should know if you're learning English, that a lot of people in the United States will refer to the country as America, and even other English-speaking countries will refer to the United States as America and Americans. So, although I know it's not technically correct because America includes multiple countries technically, that's just something to be aware of, okay? And if you tried to correct the average American, they would probably look at you crazy. So yeah. Anyway, but yeah, the American dream is this idea that if you live in the United States, if you're born here or move here, any person can work really hard and accomplish incredible dreams, whether it's buying your own house, which is typically, I guess, the most stereotypical common American dream is owning your own house. Creating your own business. A lot of immigrants come to the United States and create their own business and are very successful entrepreneurs. For example, my best friend, he really wants to open his own restaurant in the United States one day because before, when he lived in Ecuador, he had his own pizza shop. So that's he wants to make his own American dream by opening his own restaurant one day. So my best friend, I think he very much believed in the American dream. I think he still does. But as he's lived here over the last 2 or 3 years, I definitely think he's realized that there is a lot of propaganda regarding the American dream and that things are not as rosy, things are not as perfect as things are portrayed to be on the outside. Obviously, the country has a lot of problems currently, politically. We have a crazy government. There's a lot of hate toward immigrants, a lot of division. But I still think he deep down maybe believes in the American dream, and part of me does too, but this video is not about me. Another side of this is I do have a friend who immigrated here from Venezuela. And I knew him for a few months, and he actually decided to move back to Venezuela last year. And when I asked him, I said, why do you moved here, it was so difficult, and you've lived here for 2 or 3 years. Why now decide to go back to Venezuela? And he told me that things are very difficult here. It's very expensive to live here. And he told me something interesting. He said, moving to the United States is a trap because from the perspective of people living outside the country, a lot of them think that if you can only get inside the country, if you can enter the country and start to work here, you'll make a ton of money, and then you can go back to your country and live off this crazy amount of money that you were able to make in a couple of years. And that can be true, but something he told me is that people don't realize, although you can make a lot of money here in the United States relative to other countries, it also costs a lot of money to live here. It can be very expensive. Your rent alone can be very expensive. If you have medical issues, here in the United States, we do not have universal health care. So you have to pay for health care out of pocket, we say, which basically means you're paying cash. And the health care is very, very expensive. Other things, groceries, food is very expensive. Transportation is expensive because most cities in the United States do not have good public transport. So you have to rely on owning a vehicle or renting a vehicle. And of course, that is expensive. The vehicle itself, the maintenance, the gasoline, the gas, the insurance. So he told me it's a trap because you come here thinking you can make a lot of money, which you can, but you're also spending a ton of money. And so that's ultimately why he decided to go back to Venezuela. So I think it's interesting to consider both perspectives. They're both valuable, valid perspectives to have. But yeah, so I'm curious, if you're someone who lives in the United States as an immigrant, or maybe you have had the idea of moving here one day, what is your perspective as a non-American, as someone who is learning English? What do you think about America, United States, and the American dream? Do you think it's real? Do you think it's possible? Let me know. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure you take some notes, write down a few words or expressions, at least 5 that you didn't know before you clicked on this video. Write down their definitions and practice them until you know them by memory. I'll see you next time.